Now, imagine if we could grant you the power to rule the world. What would you do with it?
Would you be a force for good, or would you want to cause a stir? And what would be the very first thing you would change?
Well, this week's guest is the actor Adam Rickitt, most famous for playing Nick Tilsley in Coronation Street and Kyle Kelly in Hollyoaks. He's also an entrepreneur. He's got his own bar in Knutsford there. So tell us, Adam, if you could rule the world, what would you do? What is the first law that you would pass?
I know there's many things I would like to do. I kind of think, though, as a species, the first thing you need to do is show responsibility. And I think where we are still to this day criminally poor in that is in our animal welfare. I've been a long-term advocate for animal welfare, both domestic and, for farming. And I think still to this day, unfortunately, it's terrible. I mean, last year we did have Finn's Law passed, which allowed maximum prison sentences of 5 years rather than 6 months. But you've got to remember that 5 years is for somebody, if you think about Harold Shipman or Ted Bundy or Jack the Ripper, they're the people who would get 5 years. You can take your dog outside, set it on fire, and you'll get a 6 month suspended prison sentence and £1,000 fine. And I think that's just still to this day absolute disgrace. So not only would I like to see the sentencing increased for people who abuse animals, I'd actually like to see the guidelines increased as well. Our judiciary system has to operate within very well-defined parameters of if you do this thing, you get that punishment. And unfortunately, still to this day, animal welfare, it's too lenient. We've seen it especially during lockdown. People have rushed out and bought pets because they had nothing else to do. And we're now seeing those dogs dumped in massive droves at animal shelters or, unfortunately, abused really badly. And I think, as I said, as a species, we are the alpha on this planet. And I think showing more responsibility in that respect should be done by better treatment of our pets.
Adam, I think that's wonderful there. We are a nation of animal lovers, but like you say, if you do something as heinous as that, we should absolutely pay the price and do the sentence for it. Now, when you look back on your acting career, what is your, I smile as I look where you are. You're in Dexter's there in Knutsford, and you haven't quite got the Rover's return of Coronation Street, but you have got a lot of community spirit, and I know you're doing a lot locally on use it or lose it, come to the high street, support your local area.
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised in a small village in Cheshire, and I've always been a bit of a country bumpkin rather than an urbanite. And even in my lifetime, I've just seen the utter whitewash of our village and town communities, where the local pubs have shut, the local post offices have shut, the local banks have shut. And I think, the one good thing that did come out of COVID was the fact that it did inspire people to shop local. And it's all well and good in 5 years' time when our high streets and our town centres are, deserted, and all there is in there is chain restaurants like Starbucks and Costa's and things like that, and that's all there is. Everyone's going to be throwing their arms up in the air and lamenting it. But the power is with, you, the shopper, you, the local. I support my local butcher. I support my local greengrocer. Could I get it cheaper at Tesco's? Probably. But the produce itself would be far inferior. And I also think with petrol prices going up now as well, actually driving to one of the supermarket chains is probably going to cost you more than the difference in the food itself. So I do think, there is this amazing community ability to actually revive a town, and we've seen it in many places like Altrincham with its Altrincham market. Knutsford itself has been very resilient on the high street, and I think that kind of community support, it's not something which can be dictated from above from our government or from our MPs. Unfortunately, it's something we have to make as a conscious choice. And I think, although it is, slightly difficult at times, and it is, especially with what's coming this year, going to be more painful, meeting those increased costs. You've got to remember that, in 20 years' time, you'll probably still be living in that same town, in that same village. And if it is now a desert, where does that community go from there?
And your acting days, what do you think, when you look back at Nick Tilsley, what do you think? Are they happy memories?
I think he had the most stupid haircut in the world I've ever seen in my life, quite frankly. No, I mean, I think like most industries, COVID, there he is, what a dork. COVID had a massive impact on the
Don't knock it,
entertainment
Adam.
industry.
You're a heartthrob. We loved you.
I was very lucky I had my bar to fall back on. But, as an industry, oh, good Lord.
We had to have an excuse to get your torso out, Adam.
Not anymore. No, I mean, it's, I've always acted and I've always loved it and I always will do it. The industry, as I said, it's only just starting to come back to life now. It's because essentially we couldn't get insurance and because everyone's self-employed, there was really no government support for the entertainment industry throughout lockdown. And it's only just now starting to kick back off, which is exciting. But yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky, to be honest with you, in my career. I got into Coronation Street 2 weeks after leaving school, having never acted a day in my life, which you could tell. And, I've just been very lucky to, have worked, consistently now for 24 years.